cerebral fissure and right along the vermis. Okay, and try to make it just a smooth, clean cut, if possible. We really should have used knives for this, but... And you can go all the way down, or you can leave them attached, whatever you want to do.
A steak knife?
A steak knife would be good. Okay, so here we go. Do you want to leave them attached, or do you want to separate them completely? Can we separate them just for, since this is our demo? Or maybe not entirely, but quite a bit. That way we can spread them a little bit. Okay, so we have now the two hemispheres. I'm actually going to start back here at the cerebellum. Do y'all notice? I'm going to turn this so you guys can see it a little better. Do y'all notice the unique arrangement of gray matter and white matter here? Who remembers what that's called? The tree of life, arbor vitae, and that's the term I want you to know for the practical, although tree of life is a good hint so you can remember. Okay, now remember we have these chambers in the brain called ventricles. How many ventricles are in the brain? There are 4. We have 2 lateral ventricles. So here's one, and there's the other. Okay, 2 lateral ventricles. They're not huge by any means. Now, those 2 ventricles normally have... Would you tear up a piece of paper towel for me? Just a little. Perfect. They're normally divided or separated from each other by a thin membrane, kind of like this. So my hands are the ventricles, and this thin membrane between them is called the septum pellucidum. It means the clear division, septum pellucidum. So it's a very thin membrane. I see it on that side a little bit. Okay, let's focus on this side. It's this very thin membrane right here that I'm kind of pulling up on. You see that? I don't know. Janet, you see that? I don't know. Houston, if you can see that right there. This you're recording, and I'm sure you're going to share. All right? So when you cut the brain, more than likely you'll be able to see directly into one lateral ventricle. You may even see a gyrus protruding through. The other lateral ventricle may be covered by the septum pellucidum. Now, on top of the lateral ventricle is this nice band and white tract of fibers. That's called the corpus callosum. On the bottom is another smaller band that's more on the posterior side. That's called the fornix. Okay? As far as the corpus callosum goes, I can pin the 2 different regions. If I'm pinning close to the front of the corpus callosum, that's called the rostrum. And if I'm towards the back, where it joins with the fornix, that's called the splenium. Okay? So just remember, R comes before S, rostrum is up front, splenium is in the back. Okay? And then again, you have the ventricle in the middle. Now, normally you would see blood vessels in here, although I don't really see any. And remember, what are those specialized blood vessels called, the ones that produce cerebrospinal fluid? The core plexi, right, or core plexus. I don't see any there, but in your brain you may see some. Okay. Again, corpus callosum, fornix, lateral ventricle in between, they kind of form this structure. Okay, so corpus callosum on top, fornix on the bottom, and the ventricle is in between the 2. All right, now, just below the fornix is this round structure here, and this is called the thalamus. You may also see this labeled as the intermediate mass of the thalamus. And around it, see right here? That space is the 3rd ventricle, and look at what we have in the 3rd ventricle in this particular brain. I'm going to use the blunt probe for this so I don't damage it a whole lot. These are the blood vessels that are the choroid plexus right there. Okay? And let's see if we have on the other side as well. Yes, we do. Look at on the other side. This is a pretty extensive collection of blood vessels right there. That's the choroid plexus. So you want to make sure you don't discard that because you want to review it. Okay? All right. Now, what's this area below the thalamus called right around here? Hypothalamus. Yes. Notice it's not a distinct structure. It's just an area below the thalamus, and it may be a little darker in color. That's about it. But if you were to then put your brain together, the 2 halves together, you'd see it lead essentially down to where the